What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Almost Grown Up podcast with Kamil and Azeem. If you like what you hear and see, as always, be sure to get involved in a comment, hit that like button and subscribe, and then make sure you hit that notification bell so you keep up to date with any future videos. See you in the video. Stupid. 3, 2, 1. What?
I was trying to do the Bert Kreischer thing where he goes down with his wife.
Oh, I'm still not seeing that video. You need to send me it.
Yeah, but that still works, right? Because you got the impulse from your clap.
We don't actually need the clap anymore.
We'll keep it.
It's just, a thing.
What's
What's good, everyone?
We're
Let us know in the comments.
yeah, we're in now.
Yeah.
So we're having a couple of conversations. Wow, diction. Earlier this week about things we could talk about on the podcast. So we had a couple of cool ideas. Some of them cooler than others.
Yeah, as always.
But others, I think we're sort of at a stage where when we discuss them, I'm like, this could be really cool. But like the last podcast, we wanted to talk about that SAS dude. What's his name?
Ant Middleton.
Yeah. And then Gina Carano. And we spoke about it for like 2 minutes and the conversation just went off the different direction.
That's just us, though. Like,
It is just us. But I've basically made a pact with myself, which I'm now telling everyone, all of our listeners and
Okay,
viewers,
cool.
and you now, that I will now never preface a podcast by introing it and saying we're going to talk about this, because we probably won't. It'll be something very, very loosely related to it. It's like, you know how there's 6 degrees of separation? It's about 20 in conversational topics with us.
we'll try to stay on topic, is what he's saying.
No, I won't. It's hard.
No, I'll try. I mean, I won't, but I'll try.
You won't try, or you?
I'll try my hardest. I think I can.
Because one of the topics that we thought of discussing, which was your idea, was it paranormal? I don't want to say paranormal activity, because now I'm just thinking of a movie.
No.
But
Like ghosts and whether...
well, the movies was another topic. But we'll say
Yeah,
that.
I'm so shit with films. We need to actually fucking
We'll-
find out how to work
play
that
a game.
Because you'd be like, oh, this film. And we're like, you've not seen it. Like, oh, this film.
Which is weird,
Not
because
seen
out of all my friends, you're probably the only one that I'm
Thanks.
better. It's true.
Made the cut.
Not much of a cut to make. Yeah. You're the only one that can put up with me for 10 years.
Yep.
But you're the only one who I'm actually better than at films.
Sick. I mean, it's not hard to beat. I'll be honest.
But I thought that about myself.
Oh, right.
So when I met you, I was all like, keep him.
He makes me look smart.
with pop culture. I actually kind of hate people who are cultist about that as well.
What do you mean?
Some people are like, oh my God, you haven't seen this film. It's like, yeah, so
Oh,
what?
no, I got no fucking time for that.
You did that to me with Star Wars.
No, I didn't. No, I wasn't like, oh, you've not seen this film. Who
No,
are
you were
you?
like, have you not seen that? And I was like,
Was I?
like this.
My eyes did not.
It was actually on when I was at uni, and it was in one of my housemates' rooms, and they had it on, and I was like, yeah, not staying here for this. Bye.
Yeah.
Like sci-fi. Okay, I was about to say sci-fi is kind of shit, but I like The Matrix. So
We're doing this thing now where we're like, we're gonna talk about movies and just decide to talk about movies.
oh yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about ghosts.
Talk about ghosts. So my thing was, like, I guess for you lot, like,
Ghost
has anyone
movies?
had any experience with like potentially seeing one, or whether you thought you've seen one, like whether you believe in them or whether you think it's just absolute horseshit. And I was very much on this horseshit front until I'm pretty certain I saw one. But I've only ever had that experience once.
I was in the horse shit side until I believed.
Okay, so I didn't believe in them, but now I think I do.
Motherfucker, what are you trying to say? Wait. So you basically didn't believe it until you believed
Until I experienced it, yeah, or experienced something which made me, yeah. And then you
allegedly.
well, yeah, because you were saying, like, because we've spoken about this, and you were saying, oh, are you sure you just weren't hallucinating? Which for a fact, like, not for a fact, but for like the first thing is like, how do you know you're hallucinating?
How do you know if you're not asleep right now?
Well,
So I've just sent probably like 80% of our listeners into like a weird like wormhole. Of
two people.
Us.
Yeah. No. So. Okay. I'll go into it, right. So my experience, right. This is the only time I've ever seen or thought I've seen a ghost, and I was doing a gig in like North London. It was a recording session for my mate George. Check his music out. Will be a link down below.
George 5.
Yeah.
Not George 4. George 5.
George.
George 4.
And so we stayed.
Sorry, George.
We stayed overnight at this sort of like not Airbnb. It's like bed and breakfast hotel, like townhouse complex, like old school building in North London. And I was sharing a room. So it was 2 double beds. I was in one of them, sort of tucked in next to the wall, and then it was him and I think his missus at the time, just any other.
God damn, this sounds like a hell of a story.
Yeah, no,
I'm into this already.
Nothing like that. But anyway, so we went to bed, and then it was like it had one of those curtains where it just let all the light through. So it's just the room is quite bright, which I'm totally fine with, anyways. But something happened where I woke up through the night. Oh no, that's the thing. So I
see what you mean now about the storytelling thing.
Yeah, I'm really bad at storytelling. Okay, hang on. So here's me in my bed, right? And then in the middle of the room, there's them in their bed, right? So I'm here. George is furthest from me, and then his missus is closest to me, right? So it's like 2 meter gap. But so she kept coughing through the night. So I think that's why I woke up, right? So I kind of toss and turn, I'm sort of hearing noises and whatever. And then I kind of turn over, look at them, and then I'm like, oh, she's probably just sort of clearing her throat because she like sat upright. And I was like, wait a minute. But her head's here. If her head's here, who the fuck is that? So I just went, pillow. I was like, think. Camille, think. That can't, no, that's not someone in the room.
Are you sure?
So I waited a good like 15 seconds, right? And I just went, blood. Wait,
it was still there?
Yeah.
15 seconds later?
Yeah, there was like, that's what made me kind of think that I wasn't just in some weird state of dream or hallucination or some shit. Is that I was awake for quite a while, right? And then the fact that I saw it twice with sort of shutting my eyes and then looking again. But basically there was a mirror, right? So again, I'm here, bed's there, mirror sort of there, looking out of this window, right?
Right.
Big sort of mirror. And it was just this figure, I think it was a woman, like dark hair, stood on the edge of their bed, like looking out of the window. And then I remember kind of plucking up the courage and just like staring at this motherfucker. Like, what's
Oh, so it moved.
Blinking.
Well. So it wasn't.
No, it was still. It was completely still.
No, as in like, so it changed position from where it was, and then went to the window.
No. It was just looking at the window.
Oh, so it didn't move the whole time.
No. It was just stood at the sort of corner of their bed.
Are you sure it wasn't
in front
just a
of the
shape
mirror?
or something that looked like?
Nah, bro. There was like an outline, and then it was just a point
shadows
where
have outlines.
there was just a point where it just fizzled and it just went away, and it just disappeared. And I was like,
so now this motherfucker's ugly.
this bitch went in the mirror or some shit. Like, what is happening?
Fuck. So
it's a pretty hazy recollection of it.
Did you see George's head and his missus's head, his girlfriend's head, on the pillow?
No, I saw just her because he was on the other side of her. I'm not going to be like, what's good, bro? You still there? Yeah, cool.
And the ghost is like, get him! He moved!
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't, it wasn't George because the fucking thing disappeared. George doesn't disappear.
To ghosts out there, maybe you're in here, speak to me. What fucking good do you, like, what are you doing? You must be fucking boring.
Well, no, so part
like, we're not the most interesting of people, like, species at the best of times.
Yeah, but one of the theories...
Probably more frustrating to watch us anyway.
Yeah. One of the theories is that, like, somebody who's, say, been killed in the room or died in the room is, like, there to look after it or something. But it's, like, foolish of me.
But they can't do anything besides freak people out.
I don't fucking know. Whatever.
But logic is flawed, you fucking stupid ghost.
That next morning, what I should have done, what I forgot to do, standard Kamil thing, is I was going to ask, like, the manager or, like, in the reception whether they've...
Oh, yeah, that'll do wonders for their business.
No, whether anyone else has sort of, like, said or they've heard stories of potential
they're
ghosts.
going to deny it.
I don't know.
Maybe good publicity.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the place?
Oh, no, I don't.
If you remember during editing, link it,
Yeah, I'll put it. I'll put a link below if I remember.
and then hopefully we can
But so
find it somehow.
what's funny with that is, so up until this time, I've never like seen a ghost or experienced it in any way. And I remember doing quite a few gigs and sharing a lift with the guitarist in the band, Rob. And whoa, Jesus! And he was
That was my phone. I didn't fart.
he was telling me about his experiences with the ghost, right? And his are a lot more like clear and vivid. And again, I'm really bad at stories, so I'm not really going to go into the details of it. But it's basically where, so he was telling me all these stories of like, you know, him being on the bed. Okay, here's one that I do remember. So he was with this girl at the time on the cruise, right, on the cruise ship.
Yeah.
And they went into like some big argument or something. So he went back to his room, just went to bed. And then he remembers waking up sort of, I think earlier than he would normally, and he was trying to get out of bed and he couldn't. Like there was something.
It sounds like sleep paralysis, man.
Yeah,
and
but hang on,
have you noticed how it always happens in and around sleep?
Hang on. So like he was trying to get out of bed and he's never had this, but he was like fully awake, right?
Right.
And then he couldn't get out of bed, and then it just kind of went away, and then he was able to get out of bed. So it's not like he then went back to bed and went back to sleep and woke up.
Yeah, but this is how he's perceiving it to be.
Potentially, but then, so here's the weird thing. He then, went to go get breakfast, and he saw the girl, and sort of, they kind of cleared the air or whatever. And he was like, oh, by the way, this really weird thing happened to me where I couldn't, like, I felt like somebody was pinning me down. Yeah. And she was like, oh, that's my grandma. She does that sometimes. And I'm like,
get rid of her. Get rid of her.
Yeah. I don't think they lasted very long, but it's like, was she taking a piss? Or was that legit? And she was basically just like, okay, just...
How bad was the argument before? Because she's
exactly.
Like, I'm going to fuck with this guy now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, her thing was like, she's done that before to past boyfriends if they're like...
Oh, get fucked.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, how much of that do you believe?
If you're listening to this, shut the fuck up. Like, just, yeah. That girl needs to...
Yeah.
She's for the streets.
So then she was like, yeah, just go in the room and tell her to go away, or if it ever happens again,
get double teamed by this girl and her grandma's ghost. It's like, yeah, my grandma does that sometimes. So when she joins it, it's like, yeah, sick. Just take out the teeth. Oh. Gummy as hell.
I don't think.
Anyway.
Yeah, so he'd be telling me these stories, right? And there's a few more, which I'm not going to go into. And then, like, this studio session was like 2 weeks after. So I was like, Rob, you've fully fucked me here, because now I'm seeing the ghosts. And he was like, I'm sorry. So he told me these stories, and I was like, holy shit, like, madness. And then I saw one 2 weeks later, or thought I saw one 2 weeks later. But you hear all these stories, like even Corey Taylor was saying how he's always seen ghosts. Whenever they've gone to like, there was an album where they rented out a house, and at the bottom was a studio. So they were just living in this huge house, and he's fucking seen a ton of them.
Was that the Stone Sour one? Audio Secrecy?
I think it was Slipknot.
With a big chamber?
No, I think it's Slipknot.
Ah.
But yeah, so
but
like...
again, I don't know. So like every like weird sighting like that I've had has always been number one in and around sleep. I've had sleep paralysis before, and I've seen... Yeah. It's because I was like trying to learn how to lucid dream, and so sometimes when you basically get it wrong, you can end up
stuck.
you can fully end up stuck. And the thing is, I've looked into this a lot, because you're just purely from trying to learn how to do it and understanding what can happen around it. So like way back when, people used to get sleep paralysis, and obviously they didn't have the science or any of this to explain it, so they just thought they were possessed by demons. It
was like a devil sat on their chest or something.
Yeah, exactly, because people would feel a pressure, and they would feel like it's hard to get up, and they just describe it that way. And the only way that at the time they could think to explain it would be
a religious thing.
Angels exactly, because you're afraid of what you don't know, and so on. So we've discussed that before on this podcast.
But there's that
many a time
documentary that you made me watch, innit?
Yeah, Nightmare. So this is literally called Nightmare. So this is essentially like anecdotes from different people around the world, explaining their sleep paralysis and the things that they see. So there's a couple of common themes. There'll be dark figures moving around the room. So there'll be like a silhouette moving around, which I've had before. This is from when I've been a kid. And then there've also been times when you do lucid dream, and sometimes as you're coming out of it, you don't quite fully wake up. So you kind of wake up in your bed and you're like, oh, I'm awake now, but it's actually still the lucid dreams going on.
Damn.
but you start to lose control of it a little bit. At least in my experiences, I have. And this is the thing. So I think a lot of the time, ghost stories, because the ones that you've explained are all have been in and around sleep. So when you're sort of not fully awake, not fully asleep, that sort of in between bit.
Yeah, but so for me, for instance, that kind of story was like I had enough time to almost wake up. Like I was awake for a while. It wasn't like a what's that? Oh, I'll go back to bed. Oh, I saw a ghost. It was like
Yeah.
what? Like there was lots of like double backing.
But the thing didn't move the whole time.
That was just like this, just like dead fucking pan, like looking at the.
I bet you, because I'm denying this so vehemently. I'm gonna end up getting haunted by a ghost now. I'll just turn and be like,
Imagine, yeah.
Say one, motherfucker. Surprise, motherfuckers.
Boom.
You can't punch me. It's a ghost.
That's another thing.
That's why I like Paranormal Activity. They're like being dragged around and shit. It's like, he ain't got no hands.
Well, he does. He's just see through. Or
Yeah,
transparent.
Yeah, but how is he? I was going to try and go through the mic, and then I realised I have hands, and they do work.
I am an object.
Yeah, like how it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No, I get that. But
one
that's
of the-
just, yeah.
One of
Hollywood.
the weird ones that I had, which proper freaked me out for like a good 2 or 3 days. I woke up in my bedroom, like in my parents' house, and it was a double bed, but the room was all exactly the same. I was laying the same way, everything was laid out exactly the same. I was like, oh, I'm awake, sick. Turn over, and there's a girl, that I actually had a girlfriend at the time, and she was like facing away from me.
Oh, in the bed?
Yeah,
Mad.
but number one, like, she wasn't there in real life. Like, I knew I wasn't with her when I went to sleep.
Yeah.
So I was like, there is someone in my bed. And I put my hand on her. And obviously, looking back on it, I obviously hadn't quite woken up yet. And I must have been having a dream within a dream or something like that. And then I put my hand on her shoulder, and then she like slowly turns her head, and there's no iris. It's just like the whites of her eyes.
What
And then
the
her mouth is
shit?
open. Her mouth is open. Like, it was. So
What the fuck? Wait, so you've... Okay, go on, carry on.
I was aware it's not a ghost story, because I'm like, I know from trying to lucid dream that sleep paralysis can happen. And one of the worst dream experiences I've had was having like a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream. So it was like 4 in, and it was fucking horrible, because each time I woke up, I was in bed, and then the final time I woke up, I was like, oh my God, please let me be awake now, because it was fucking freaky. I had like a baby brother, which I don't have, and
Wait, hang on. Go back to
so that was multiple stories.
Go back to the fucking...
So yeah, so I put my hand on her shoulder, because I was like, Fliss, is that you? And then obviously looking back, and I was like, duh, it couldn't be her. She wasn't here in the first place. And then fucking turn around, and like it just looked like, you know, Samara from The Ring, like the girl with long hair,
long black hair.
So it didn't look like that, but like the hair was sort of like all over the pillow, like in that
like
sort of
you
fashion.
would do when you're sleeping, yeah.
Yeah. But she had like, it's like whites of her eyes, so no like coloured bit, and then her mouth was like open.
Dude, that's fucking frightening.
It was. I told you, it freaked me out for a good 2 or 3 days.
What was your initial reaction to it?
So
Get out of bed. Fuck out of the way.
still got a heartbeat.
Oh, I just heard what you said.
Sorry. Yeah. So my first reaction was obviously, I screamed in the dream, but I essentially tried to start moving, and this is when I realized it was sleep paralysis. And so when you try and scream or like move in sleep paralysis, it feels like you're like, I'm sure you guys have had dreams where you're trying to run. It feels like you're stuck in mud, or you're trying to punch, and it feels like the atmosphere is like jelly, or jello if you're American. Like you're trying to throw a punch, but it's like everything. It's like you've already got like that tired muscle build up sort of thing.
Right.
So just like it goes really slowly, nothing really moves. So it's like that, but your whole body is like trying to like shift, but it just doesn't happen. And your scream just feels like it's stuck in your throat. So you're like, or I don't know if you guys have seen Matrix, second mention of that, but there's a bit when in the first one where he gets bugged by the agents and is like trying to open his mouth, and he's got like that stretchy stuff between it. So it's like his skin's like come over it.
Yeah.
I had that, and then I was trying to like, I know that when you have a lucid dream, or sleep paralysis, you're meant to take a sharp intake of air, like through your nose, and that's meant to help wake you up.
Okay.
But for some reason, I didn't think to do that, I just tried to scream my way out of it, and it just felt like, and I woke myself up by the sound of my own me going. Well, I thought it was a scream, but it turned out to sound something like.
But wait,
And then I woke up in the bed, and I was like, okay, this is real now. And
so that was just in your head.
yeah.
But I find that so weird how like.
But it was
in your head, but it was like
everything was laid out in the room exactly as it was. There was just a person next to me. But then I was also aware that there were certain points in the dream where I felt like I was controlling it because I chose to put my hand out there and be like, "Oh, Bliss, it's you," and it fucking wasn't. So I don't know. I'm really skeptical about all these like ghost sightings and all these kind of things. Because there's loads of like YouTube videos and like people. Like Ghost Hunters, that's a show, right?
I think so.
It sounds like a show. If it's not, it should be.
I mean, there's tons of shows like that. I'm sure.
But they like go to these haunted places and they look at.
When it's filmed, that's when I'm like, okay, I don't buy this at all. But it's the stories of like individuals that kind of not get me excited about it, but it's almost like, oh, cool, like, oh, sick, like you've seen a ghost or you thought you saw a ghost.
I feel like I'm more inclined to believe in aliens than I am in the supernatural.
Yeah, but. Aliens is like.
Have you seen some of the weird creatures that like live in the Amazon?
Yeah,
like if those things are here,
bro, all you need to do is go like to the depths of the oceans, which we can't anyways. But
yeah,
the deeper you go, the weirder shit gets.
The darker it gets.
100%. Like those fucking weird, like shoe teeth. Fucking I don't know what they're called. They've got like light dangling over their heads. It's fucking gross. But because of all the pressure. They've had to adapt and evolve in ways where it's just like.
What if you put me in darkness for like a couple of million years? Would I get a light bulb on my head?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
I ain't gonna live for a
Is
million.
it there yet?
He's dead.
Yeah. But is it there yet?
But yeah, so I'm always very skeptical about. Yeah, number one, anything that's filmed. But then it's interesting that you believe stories then too from people because surely they can just embellish. And I'm just super cynical. That's all I'm.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't.
And I am to a degree, but I quite like to just. I don't know, just partake in the fun of it, I guess, because it's just a bit like, like not sort of like taking it as gospel, but I don't know. I guess it's just kind of cool just to.
Is it nice to? So my mum used to play with like a Ouija board when she was younger.
My mum too.
Yeah. Oh, we've had this conversation before.
My mum and her mates, they used to summon Elvis because apparently he'd always turn up.
Elvis.
But they do it in Polish, so it's like, how does he respond? Oh, but in Polish.
My Polish always comes out Russian. So
yeah, close enough. Not really.
That's such a good point, though.
He'd always turn up.
Do ghosts?
But like, he'd move shit apparently. Or Elvis, the creature.
Yeah, because they have the glass.
Yeah, but he like the lights will flicker and like turn on, off and on apparently. So do you know what I mean? Like that, I'm kind of like
faulty generator.
What at that given moment?
I don't know.
It's just, you see what I mean? It's just like
it's a load of shit. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna have some fucking shit dreams now. I'm pissed off some guys. I'm like, all right, this boy wants some. He wants some. I don't know.
We're gonna turn it up.
And turn it down, like the generator.
Yeah.
But so my mum, basically they basically said they didn't try and summon anyone specifically. They just said if you're here, make your presence known, sort of thing. Obviously, this is in Urdu, which was done in Pakistan where she grew up, with her siblings, and they were like the glass like it would move, and they'd be like, "Are you moving it?" Because everyone's putting. And I was like, yeah, but.
That's what I find weird, yeah. Like when you're kind of
because like obviously someone's gonna be like, it's like, oh my god, you moving it? No.
But then it's also like how good you are at hiding if you are the one moving it, like, because you can tell the difference between somebody, like someone's expression and the way they act when they're sort of doing it to take the piss, or whether it's like, holy shit, like this is. Do you know what I mean?
I also know my mum though, and she's the type of person that would embellish a story just to make it better.
Okay.
So I'm like,
it's also the longer that story's been with you, the more it kind of changes.
It warps because which is, you know what, I remember I heard this I can't remember who the quote's from, but when I heard it, it's really obvious. But when you think about it, you're like, oh shit, that's so true. Basically, your memory of a time or a scenario is only as good as the last time you remembered it, which is why it warps more and more each time.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because You'll never remember something exactly. So even this podcast, it's a good thing that it's on camera, because I'll probably remember the conversation went slightly differently to how it actually did. Because each time I remember, I'll probably like miss a bit out or like reword it.
Yeah.
And then that's how Chinese whispers happen. Why is it called Chinese whispers, actually?
I don't know. Is that racist?
I don't know. I feel like I'm afraid of saying anything now.
But anyways, yeah, it's. I don't know where that's come from. There must be some origins to it. Maybe it's like a game that they played and it originated
What if
in
you
China.
have a foreign ghost and they don't know what the fuck you're on about? Like you mentioned.
I like to think ghosts are not
Omnilingual.
omnilingual. Jeez, that's a word.
Yeah, but like you said, if you're asking for Elvis and it's coming in Polish, he's going to be like,
What? Why you keep calling me? I don't know what you're talking about, blood.
what the fuck is this?
Turn the light off and back on again. And I'm out. Elvis has left the room. I don't know why he sounded like from Houston.
But yeah, so like, what if you have? I'm assuming because they're not beings anymore; it's just their soul. So the soul doesn't know a language. This is all complete bollocks, by the way. I don't believe this.
It's a fun question.
You know what I mean? So they
Yeah, it's just they interpret energy. Let's do that.
But that's why all these ghost sighting programs, they have
an expert.
they have So they always have the Geiger Muller counter thing. So it's like radioactive energy or like electromagnetic forces and stuff causing like light flickers and all that kind of stuff. Basically, like what happens to the northern lights, right? It's the frequency.
It's magnetism.
Yeah. So we just getting fooled by magnets.
Could be.
This whole time round, we're just thinking, oh, my relative is. But this is the other thing. This ties back into horoscopes again, right? Because this is humans giving shit meaning that doesn't have one meaning because they need something to explain something in their life.
Yeah, like I'm not on board with horoscopes at all. Like that thing you sent through on our group WhatsApp. Can you remember what it is?
So this guy, I don't know. It was like a screen grab of this guy on Twitter, and he's like, "So I wanted to try and get with this girl who believed in horoscopes." So he told her he was a ex horoscope.
Scorpio.
It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
Saki, whatever.
And then he was like, and I know, and the reason I know, he's like, I'm actually something else. And he's like, and your next tweet was, the reason I know this doesn't work is because I know a load of you are going to be like, oh, it's such a so-and-so thing to do. But I lied again. I'm actually another one. So he basically thought this out 3 levels down. I'm like, fuck. Which just goes
That's
to
some planning.
Yeah, it's planning. But also...
It's also doing it to
prove a point.
Yeah, exactly. And to disprove the fucking magic that is a horoscope. In that instance, anyways.
It's also to do with the stars aligning and stuff, right? Like...
I mean, I get like energies and things like that. Like I am on board with that. Not in terms of like crystals. I mean, we had this conversation anyways, but because just energy in general is essentially why we're here, right? This is getting really weird, but yes, I'm on board with
3
that.
edibles before he came on the show.
I'm on board with that, but not like how the specific day that you're born on is going to change how you are as a person. No. Why? Your experiences. Well, you see your experiences and your upbringing. That's why you have 2 people who were born on the same day.
Because if you believe in energies, right? So I'm sure that the whole... Yeah, we set the camera because it's a big chat. If you believe in energies, why would you not believe that the energy on the day that you're born has a full bearing? Because obviously your environmental factors are to be included too. But why would you then not think that it has an effect or has
because I don't think it's
any
like
sort of bearing?
I don't think it's enough to
on your starting point, basically.
Yeah, but I don't think it's enough to like change your personality or change.
But you might have a predisposition towards certain things because of the energy on your day. Again, I don't believe in it, so I'm just playing devil's advocate. Do you know what I mean?
I get where you're coming from.
Like if you were to...
I'm not very well armed for this argument, but
I understand an argument, though. It's
not argument for this discussion.
It's more just in terms of like, it's interesting how people believe in certain things because it comes back down to what you feel you need to give meaning to, right? So because you've had a ghost experience, I've just hit my mic, sorry. That's going to be an editing nightmare for you. Because I don't do shit. I just come here and talk.
Not wrong.
But yeah, you could, because you've had a ghost experience, right? And you needed something to explain it. You've now aligned to, I will need that to explain it to myself. Whereas people who are struggling with bigger things in life, they'll be like, I need horoscopes because it gives me a reason why I've been single for like 20 years because I haven't met the right. Do you know what I mean?
See, I think you gotta like dig deeper. Like if you think the reason that you're,
but then maybe it could be the same could be said for you and ghosts. Maybe
what do you mean?
Maybe you got to dig deeper for what the actual reason is behind that.
Yeah, but I'm not like going around preaching, like writing about, oh, I've seen a ghost.
Oh, it's a preachiness, right? Okay, yeah, that's different.
And being like, oh yeah, this is true because of this. I'm like, throughout that
People
that whole story, I've gone, I may have seen a ghost. Like,
yeah. Okay,
it's not like, yeah, I saw it, 100% real. At the time, I believe that I saw it because of, I don't know, the light patterns or how the shadow was reflecting on the mirror and stuff. But for me, I was like, oh, they may have been a ghost.
How the shadow was reflecting in the...
Bro, listen.
You did physics, motherfucker.
Yeah, I didn't do very well.
Shadows reflecting in the mirror.
No, shadows reflecting and the mirror.
Yeah. Shadows reflecting. Need that in itself.
Yeah, exactly. That's a fucking meta for you.
That's an oxymoron I heard.
Yeah.
That was some good shit. But yeah, what were we talking about?
Ghosts.
Yeah, so why is it that you need to then... Why do they need to dig deeper, and then someone who believes in ghosts necessarily shouldn't? But also people who preach, number one, ghosts, or horoscopes.
I think
anything in general.
I think it's also just trying to remove blame from yourself or from something else into something that's a bit more like mystical, and like it's just like no, it's never going to be
responsibility.
It's never going. Yeah, like you are responsible for your actions, and like I hate to say it, but like. Yeah, but like if shit hasn't gone your way, like you make your own luck. Like let's face it, right? Right place, right time. But you put yourself in a situation where if you were in that right place, right time, you were armed and prepared for that situation. Like I could have, say, for instance, me being a drummer, I could have just magically found myself in a room with some famous artist who happened to need a drummer at that certain time. If I was shit, they wouldn't have fucking hired me regardless. Like
first job,
yeah, like I had to work for that. And get good at it and own my craft and get comfortable with playing with other people for me to even be considered in that situation. It doesn't matter if you're in the right place at the right time. You have to have the skills. This is like
that story of the guy who we talked about in the podcast before, the guy who said no to Seal's Coke.
Yeah.
Someone could be like, oh my God, you should have taken the opportunity. It's like, yeah, but I had
my morals.
Yeah. I had my morals. I made that chance myself. That was like
exactly.
That was a fork in the road.
Yeah.
Of those two, like parallel universes,
yeah,
those you get your opportunities, and he did it. Like he made his like luck to get to that point, and then said no to
realized this kind of like what he thought he wanted turned out to not be what he wanted, because then like say he did it right, then he would have had to keep that front for ages just to keep the gig.
Like, yeah, cocaine.
Yeah, I'm fucking really tired of this shit. Do you know what I mean? And then.
But I think what we've done in a roundabout way is you've kind of come around to agreeing what I was saying, because people basically need a reason to explain something that they can't. So then they go to horoscopes, which is fucking stupid, or ghosts, which in my opinion is because they're so scared. It'll be something like rather than being like, yes, it's sleep paralysis or you're in a certain state of consciousness where you are seeing these figures. Because it's weird, right? Going back to that Nightmare documentary, that all of the anecdotes from around the world had similar themes, like the demon sitting on the chest and they're struggling to move, obviously because it's sleep paralysis. The difficulty breathing, which I've had, the dark figures, which are silhouettes. So
they're all like
they call it the shadow man, quote unquote.
Right. Like they're recurring things that kind of
from different people. But they all have the same things that they see. So the shadow man exists. The
I got you.
So it's like, well, if there are these,
you've got to link it into one central point, haven't you?
Yeah, and there are so many horror movies that have basically been built off this same premise of, because also kids are more susceptible to it because their grasp of reality and their imagination is so much more vivid, it's different compared to an adult, because when you're an adult you've had so many years and your brain is trained to understand here is reality,
like realism.
Yeah, exactly. So you've had more years in the real world, so your imagination naturally kind of dampens a bit. I think I read some fact where like did an MRI scan of like brain activity or a CAT scan. I don't know which one it is. I'm not a scientist, but one that shows brain activity of someone who just taken a tab of LSD and it resembled that of a 2-year-old's brain. Because you're just using,
really?
yeah, because your imagination is going fucking all over the place, right? A 2-year-old or something like a kid, basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that explains a lot about why they can suddenly enter dream states more often, and they're so much more terrified because they're not rooted in that reality as strongly as an adult would be. So for these reasons, I'm like, but the thing is, I've seen maybe similar things to what you've seen, like with ghosts and all that. But because I was already interested in lucid dreaming and I've tried to do it, and I knew what happened before going into it, it didn't scare me as much. So I was like, I wasn't a ghost, or like, if I see shadow stuff in a room,
you kind of had the knowledge at your disposal to sort of analyze a situation rather than acting based on emotion.
So yeah, sort of. And I'm sure there are like plenty of people around the world do the same thing too. But I think it's weird how that sometimes they will bring religion into it, because it's like when you have a near-death experience, which you've also discussed on the podcast, where they'll suddenly find God. Because they'll need...
It's like that last resort almost.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if they're like... If they lose a family member, which might turn into a ghost, which kind of comes full circle. Which actually is another explanation. Maybe they haven't quite reconciled that loss of a person yet, so they're saying they're still coming back to look over me, or they've been reincarnated as this slug. Slug. Or like a cat or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, that could be...
Like, there's so many reasons why people end up giving meaning to shit that doesn't have, realistically, if you remove your emotional, sentimental side from it, which I know is hard to do, but like, take a step back, you know. That's why I'm sort of playing the skeptic in this podcast the whole way through. I'm not as miserable as I sound, I promise. I was laughing at... Actually, I can't say that.
You what?
Before the podcast.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I think we've kind of run our course in this conversation. Let us know if you guys have seen any ghosts.
Yeah.
Also, let us know if you believe in horoscopes.
Or whether you've had...
I won't get mad at you. I'll just judge you very heavily. But before we finish...
Oh, we're doing a...
We're doing...
Random question.
Because we also brainstorm a shitload of these, so there's...
We got to get through them.
You got to
get through them.
So the last one was, would you save your sperm? No, that was the first one we ever did.
Yeah.
The last one was, have you ever saved someone's life? And I think this one, and I've seen it because it's just under, and I feel like it ties in quite nicely to the ghost theme, is... Because we mentioned Elvis Presley. It doesn't have to be him. But what celebrity, living, dead, past or present, would you want to punch the most? And don't let the fact that I've mentioned Elvis sway that in any way.
Yeah. Celebrity. Or just a known figure?
Let's go. Yeah, let's go, because I think celebrity is a very loose term now, because we fucking Instagram influencers. You're not celebrities.
I don't know.
You've just got nice butts.
What? You fucking idiot. I don't know.
Buttstagram.
Who would I punch?
Instabutt.
I like to think I just wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
I mean,
You got a free...
I wouldn't want to punch anyone. Like, it's just... Unless I had to.
Okay. But for the sake of...
Okay, who's yours? Exactly.
Quite topical. Piers Morgan.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I don't feel... I love how I didn't even have to explain it. It was like, okay.
Is this a... Oh, I don't know. Fuck, I'm on the spot now.
This is the pitfall of one of these random questions, because... Like, I always read them, so I'm thinking of an answer.
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to go with Mike Tyson.
That was going to be my second one.
Just because I'm like...
Who else can say they punched him besides actually a lot of people?
But then...
He's literally a boxer.
Is there a repercussion attached to that? Or is it just a free punch?
I guess you got to find out.
Free punch.
Well, if you can kill him in one punch, then there's no repercussion.
I highly doubt that will happen. Unless I turn into a truck. Go at 70 miles an hour. He'd be like...
The fuck was that?
Like a fucking wasp. Get out.
There you go. Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Watch
and
out.
Piers Morgan. I'm coming for you, Vlad. Coming for your podcast too, yeah?
hot boxing and Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
We'll link in the description. Let us know. Thanks guys for listening.
Yeah.
We made this one a slightly longer one. As I said, get involved in the comments.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell.
Follow us on Instagram as well.
And
There'll be a thing here.
Somewhere around here.
Yeah.
There'll be probably lots of things around here because I'm hoping you have lots of ghosty things.
Yeah,
Lots
we'll see.
of ghost emojis.
We'll see how much LSD I've taken.
Enough for a 2-year-old child. That doesn't sound right. We'll see you guys next time.